What were your intentions with this bin? I mean, there's a large bin. What were your intentions? Put your mom into this bin. So when you say clean up, like a weekly cleaning, what were you cleaning up?
Blood.
The blood from your mother?
She looked like the perfect mother, loving, kind, and devoted. But behind closed doors, a dark secret was waiting to explode. The fluorescent lights buzz quietly above. A detective's calm voice breaks the heavy silence. What were you cleaning? Sarah hesitates. Blood. My mother's blood. Her own words seal her fate. But before we judge, we must understand. Who was this woman? What happened on December 31st, 2013? And how detectives skillfully led her into confessing the truth.
Learned a woman arrested for murder in Westminster is accused of killing her own mother. Prosecutors say she stabbed her mom to death inside of a home on 92nd Place last week.
Welcome, or welcome back, to the last known truth. New Year's Eve, 2013, Derry Township, Pennsylvania. A freezing winter night had wrapped the small community in silence. By 6:30 p.m., darkness covered the snowy ground outside a modest trailer home. Inside, 27-year-old Sarah Vercauteren was fighting severe heroin withdrawal. Her mother, Dawn Marie Wagner, had just returned from work. The house smelled of pizza baking in the oven, and the TV glowed softly in the background. When Sarah asked to borrow her mother's car, Dawn refused. That simple denial triggered a storm. In anger and desperation, Sarah grabbed a hammer from the kitchen and attacked her mother from behind. The assault moved from the living room to the bathroom, where Dawn's final cries faded. While her young son slept nearby, Sarah tied her mother's legs, cleaned the blood, took her belongings, and fled. For several days, she hid in a motel, buying heroin and pretending to be her mother through text messages. On January 7th, 2014, out of money and desperate for drugs, Sarah robbed a PNC bank. That reckless act led to her arrest and to the chilling confession you're about to hear. The interrogation, state your full name and date of birth. The detective begins. Sarah Dawn, she answers quietly, born October 2nd, 1888. Do you know why you're here today? Sarah nods. Because of my mom. The detective doesn't rush. Tell me what happened that night. Sarah takes a shaky breath. She came home around 6:30. She was upset, talking about people using her and how tired she was. I was really sick, dope sick, and asked to borrow her car. I said I was getting marijuana, but I wanted heroin. She told me no. I got angry. Her tone stays flat as she continues. She was sitting in the living room watching TV. I was in the kitchen. I saw the hammer, picked it up, climbed onto the counter and hit her in the head. She screamed. I hit her again. The dog barked, bit my leg. I hit it too. She tried to run, but I kept hitting her. There was blood everywhere. Sarah pauses, fighting tears. I didn't want my son to wake up. She said, "You can use my car." I'm sorry. But it was too late. I told her I loved her. I tried to choke her because she was suffering, but there was too much blood. I taped her legs so she couldn't move. Then she stopped breathing. After that, Sarah cleaned the house as best she could, changed clothes, took her son, and left. For days, she stayed high, avoiding reality. Later, she returned home to clean again, buying bleach, garbage bags, and gloves from Walmart. But the guilt didn't go away. Eventually, the money and drugs ran out, and she turned to robbery. When officers arrested her, the truth emerged slowly, detail by detail, until nothing remained hidden. Before the attack, did your mother go to work that day, or was she sleeping in the bedroom? She had been working, so she returned from her shift around what time? The detective replayed Sarah's timeline again and again. Arrival time, order of events, placement of items. By guiding her into specific answers, the investigator forced a steady reconstruction. Normally, her mother arrived home about 5:30. Was there any reason she visited that day? Sarah said her mother had been planning to move but didn't explain much. The vehicle belonged to Dawn, a red Chevrolet, four-door. That car was the one Sarah wanted. Dawn refused to hand over the keys. Where did the hammer come from? From a kitchen drawer. Was anything else removed? Duct tape, also from the drawer. The detective pressed for exact moments, the first blow, the victim's reaction, whether she fell. At first, Dawn stood and asked, "What the fuck?" Only after Sarah jumped down and struck again did Dawn collapse near the TV. After striking her mother in the living room, Sarah dragged the body through the trailer, pulling by the arms. She moved down a short hallway toward the rear bathroom while her young son slept in the bedroom just off the corridor. When Dawn stopped moving, Sarah returned to the living room, reassured her son by saying, "Mom's fine," and turned on cartoons. Worried Dawn might regain consciousness and call for help, Sarah went to the kitchen, fetched duct tape, and bound her mother's legs. She checked again and realized Dawn was not breathing. Sarah then gathered Dawn's personal items, purse, identification, debit cards, and a checkbook, and left with her child. Using Dawn's card, she withdrew $600 at a Route 22 area ATM and paid for motel nights. She admitted later that she used some of the money for food and cigarettes, and the rest to buy heroin. Which motel did she use? The Highland Park Motel, she said, though she could not recall the manager's full name. She stayed there for roughly 4 or 5 days, using drugs and avoiding the house. On Saturday after the killing, Sarah returned to the trailer with her son. She bought cleaning supplies, contractor trash bags, bleach-based cleaner, sponges, gloves, and a large blue storage bin from Walmart, intending to place her mother's body inside. She described the container as roughly her size. Though she considered putting Dawn into it, she ultimately could not carry that out. Instead, she cleaned floors, cabinets, the entryway, living room, and hallway, removing Christmas decorations and scrubbing bloodstains. When the detective asked what she had been cleaning during what she called a weekly cleaning, Sarah answered plainly, "The blood, her mother's blood." The officer followed up about the clothing, rags, towels, and any discarded items. Most were thrown in the same trash where the hammer had been placed. The clothes she had worn during the attack remained in her bedroom. Over and over, the investigator circled back to specifics: where the hammer and tape came from, how many times Dawn was struck, how the body was moved, which rooms were cleaned, which purchases were made, and when cash withdrawals occurred. Those details converted confession into evidence, a sequence of actions showing planning, concealment, and an effort to hide what had happened. When officers arrested her, the truth emerged slowly, detail by detail, until nothing remained hidden. Before the attack, did your mother go to work that day, or was she sleeping in the bedroom? She had been working, so she returned from her shift around what time? The detective replayed Sarah's timeline again and again. Arrival time, order of events, placement of items. By guiding her into specific answers, the investigator forced a steady reconstruction. Sarah's mother, Dawn, came home around 5:30 that day. Sarah wanted Dawn's red Chevrolet, but Dawn refused. Grabbing a hammer and duct tape from the kitchen, Sarah attacked her. In the end, Sarah's own recounting revealed motive and method: addiction driving desperate choices, a heated argument over car keys, a sudden violent act, and subsequent attempts to erase the traces. Piece by piece, her story fit together until there was nothing left to deny. Some truths are buried deep, and we dig them up, one story at a time. Subscribe to Last Known Truth and hit the bell, so you never miss what the world tried to forget.